France v Springboks. 5 takeaways as South Africa banish any doubt about World Cup win with seismic statement. Following a 32-17 victory for the Springboks over France on Saturday, here's our 5 takeaways from the international clash at the Stade de France. The top line. South Africa, despite facing the considerable challenge of playing with 14 men for over half the match, demonstrated a level of resilience and structure that kept them in a brutal contest against arch-rivals France, until they cut loose in the final quarter, proving precisely why they're the double world champions, as they banished any residual doubt about the fortune of their win in 2023. Bluntly, they won by 15 points in Paris, with a man down against one of the best 2 or 3 sides in the world. That says everything you need to know. The opening exchanges belonged to France, with Damien Penaud's brace inside the first half hour setting the tone for a side that had clearly prepared to exploit width and tempo. Ramos, assured from the tee and composed in his orchestration, added further scoreboard pressure. By the 30-minute mark, France had established a 14-6 lead, and while South Africa responded through Rienich's opportunistic score, the complexion of the match shifted with Luc de Jager's dismissal just before halftime. Despite the numerical adjustment, despite the adversity, despite the French possession and onslaught, South Africa remained tactically huge, both in the physical and mental, winning the key moments, winning the aerial battle and the set piece. Their defensive line adapted with cohesion, deep thought, and adaptability. Their set piece retained its integrity, and their breakdown work continued to challenge French momentum. It was a seismic statement, one that perhaps ends the arguments of 2023 and underlines why the Springboks carry both the aura and the mantle they hold. South Africa are the Ali of rugby. South African rugby continues to be defined by its capacity to endure, adapt, and respond, even when they're pinned against the ropes, with legs wobbling and people fear for their capacity to respond to the punches. Much like the legendary Muhammad Ali, the Springboks possess an innate ability to absorb pressure, recalibrate their approach, and remain in the contest regardless of circumstance. Following the red card to de Jager, South Africa reconfigured their forward pack, adjusted their defensive spacing, and managed the physical toll of reduced numbers with incredible rugby IQ. Throughout the second half, South Africa's maul remained their key source of control, with Andre Esterhuizen's try on 64 minutes exemplifying their ability to generate forward pressure even with a reshuffled pack. Meanwhile, their scrum, whichever of the 6 players they used, operated with precision, winning all 6 of their own feeds, and their line-out success remained at 100%, a testament to the technical discipline of players like R.G. Snyman and Malcolm Marx. Although possession tilted towards France, particularly in the final quarter, South Africa's ability to maintain shape, win breakdown contests, and execute under fatigue ensured that the match stayed agonizingly outside of the grasp of France. The Bok ruck speed, with over 60% of ball recycled within 3 seconds, allowed them to maintain attacking rhythm, and despite all of the setbacks thrown their way, the sheer amount of French punches they took whilst on the ropes, they emerged champions once more. Incredible. The banishment of quarterfinal criticism. The 2023 World Cup quarterfinal between these 2 sides left a lingering narrative, one that suggested South Africa's victory was built on opportunism and a slice of officiating inaccuracy rather than self-control. That match, defined by statistical imbalance, was often cited as an anomaly, but this fixture provided a broader context and a more complete picture of both teams' evolution, and underlined the brutal reality that South Africa are world champions for a reason. France's performance was measured, intelligent, and built on a foundation of tactical clarity. Ramos, operating with calm assurance, managed the tempo with maturity with some wonderful opportunistic kicking, hand in hand with Penaud, whose finishing instincts ensured that early momentum was translated into scoreboard advantage. South Africa demonstrated that their systems and rugby intellect are beyond comparison. Nothing could have illustrated this more than the reaction to the red card, something that would have shattered lesser sides, but prompted a recalibration that saw players like Pieter-Steph du Toit and Jasper Wiese simply increase their workload, with Siya Kolisi's leadership from the sideline sharing every kick, catch, tackle and jackal with his boat still on the pitch. Fynbos Ngomzulu distributed with accuracy and composure, allowing the backline to maintain shape and challenge France's defense. All in all, the best side won, and that quarterfinal discourse, shaped by emotion and hindsight, finally found its resolution in a match that showcased the best of both sides, but underlined that the Springboks are still the best side in the world. France, replacements, rhythm, and the weight of selection. France's first half was a masterclass in tempo, structure, and attacking clarity, despite a creaking scrum and some aimless kicking, but they only have their own fitness and lack of belief to blame for failing to close out a match they had every chance to win. The interplay between Nalan Legarrec and Ramin Ntamak created space and rhythm, whilst the pack, led by Thibaud Flamed and Anthony Gelonche, provided consistent gain-line success. Pinaud's 2 tries were the product of well-rehearsed patterns and sharp execution, and Ramos, kicking, ensured that scoreboard pressure kept moving away from SA and everything looked rosy. Following the interval, the tempo evolved. France simply had to use that period to put South Africa away, but they failed as fatigue and inaccuracy crept in. The replacements, with the exception of Oscar Jegu, failed to make any real impact in the way Fabien Galthy would have wanted. To add insult to injury, Guillaume Cramont's penalty at the Mall offered South Africa field position for an easy opportunity, and to compound matters, Biel Bayeri's yellow card was near to brain dead. A moment killed France off, and that South Africa used to reassert pressure. The second half reflected a shift in rhythm, and notably, France's possession moved from 61% in the first half to 38% in the second, and their territory followed a similar pattern as the tackle count increased, clean breaks reduced, and the tempo slowed. Put simply, France fell off a cliff in terms of efforts, while South Africa continued to climb the mountain in front of them. This performance also carried the weight of context. France were without several of their most influential players, Francois Croze, Yoram Mofana, Charles Olivin, Uini Atonio, Pito Movaka, Cyril Bale, and Anton Dupont, world-class individuals and all absent through injury or lack of game time. These are world-class individuals who shape tempo, control collisions, and provide leadership across the spine of the team, and their absence required a recalibration of roles and responsibilities, and perhaps removed both a lot of test match nous and a hell of a lot of X-factor. In addition to enforced absences, France's selection choices introduced further confusion. The decision to omit Gregory Aldrit, a player whose form and influence at number 8 remains among the most consistent in world rugby, was a quite remarkable call. His ability to link phases, dominate collisions, and provide continuity at the base of the scrum would have added further control to France's second-half effort, and it's fair to say that France's selections, and the failure of their impact replacements, helped pave the way for this historic Springbok win. Law and incident analysis, understanding the red card decision. The sending off of Luc de Jager in the 38th minute of the match was a pivotal moment, not only in terms of match dynamics, but also in its legal clarity under World Rugby's framework. The incident occurred when Ramos, having been tackled by Rianic, was low to the ground, and as Ramos descended, de Jager entered the contact area and made direct shoulder-to-head contact with the French full-back, with his arm tucked and not used in the tackle. 1. Has head contact occurred? In this case, the contact was direct and to the head of Ramos, satisfying the first criterion. 2. Was there foul play? The referee assessed whether the contact was intentional, reckless, or avoidable. De Jager's tucked arm and body position were deemed to constitute foul play, as the tackle was always illegal under Law 9.13, which states, "A player must not tackle an opponent early, late, or dangerously." Dangerous tackling includes, but is not limited to, tackling or attempting to tackle an opponent above the line of the shoulders, even if the tackle starts below the line of the shoulders. 3. What was the degree of danger? The tackle was judged to involve a high degree of danger due to the direct shoulder-to-head contact, the force involved, and the lack of control in the action. Law 9.11 further supports this, stating, "Players must not do anything that is reckless or dangerous to others, including leading with the elbow or forearm, or jumping into or over a tackler." 4. Is there any mitigation? Mitigation is considered when there is a sudden drop in height or late change in dynamics. However, and this is absolutely key when assessing this incident, World Rugby's guidelines clarify that mitigation cannot apply to actions deemed intentional or always illegal. In this case, the officials concluded that De Jager's tackle was deliberate and inherently illegal due to the tucked arm and the nature of the contact, thus removing any possibility of reducing the sanction. As a result, Gardner issued a permanent red card, meaning South Africa could not replace De Jager after 20 minutes. The ruling aligned precisely with World Rugby's commitment to player welfare and its zero-tolerance stance on head contact. The laws prioritize the action over the outcome, meaning that even if the tackled player does not require a head injury assessment, HIA, the legality of the tackle is judged independently of medical consequence.